Well, good afternoon, West Ham fans. It's Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. Busy day on the channel already. We've been talking about, Holly was talking about sort of how many points do we get in the remaining games of the season. We had the Graham Potter press conference, synopsis, and review, which we put out just after lunch or sort of early afternoon, and then Hammer's headlines today. And tonight we have got on the channel Steve Lomas. Former West Ham captain Steve Lomas is doing a My Hammers 11 live and interactive, so you can come on and give your questions to Steve. That'll be on 9 p.m. We've set it up on the channel already, so you can hit the bell and remind you so you don't miss it. It's going to be very, very interesting and very fun, I believe. Steve is a very, very funny man, so I'm looking forward to that. But it is currently Hammer's headlines in association with the KUMB.com, boys. Lots to talk about. And today it's all contract news. It's all contract news. Clauses, new deals, bids for players out of contract, all that type of stuff. So it's a contract-friendly zone, if that makes sense, or not friendly. We're going to start off with the main man, Mr. Potter. Mr. Potter, I presume. Now, according to Claret and Hugh, Mr. Potter does have a break clause in his contract. He obviously joined in April, and very much on the recommendation of Baroness Brady. And initially the club wanted him to be on a short-term deal, I believe to be about 6 months at the time, which a similar one to the David Moyes one, but Potter was silly. Because Moyes had that 6 months, and then we brought in Pellegrini. So he wanted something a little bit longer. I want to suggest and bring to the table that it was because he knew he's got a big job on his hands, and 6 months wouldn't cut it. And I don't think if it was a 6 month deal on present form, I don't think he'd been offered an extension to that contract. But this is a long term deal for me. This needs a lot of work in terms of the squad, and I'm going to talk about that tomorrow because I'm still backing Potter, and I'll talk about why tomorrow. But it has been obviously the 6 month deal wouldn't happen. It was a 2.5 year deal, but Claret and Hugh have learnt that the contract includes an 18-month break clause, allowing either Potter or the club to end the agreement at the end of next season. So, and all parties walk away. That sounds like a compromise, really. West Ham wanted a 6 month deal, Potter wanted 2.5, where the club offered him 2.5, offered him what he wanted, but as a sort of go between, an 18-month contract break clause included. So, in theory, West Ham can terminate deals early if need be, if it doesn't pan out, we think we're going to pan out. And obviously there'd still be compensation, but I don't know whether that's compensation on a 2.5 year deal or if that's compensation of up to the first 18 months. I don't know. But I personally, that's quite unlikely, as obviously we're still paying Mr. Lopetegui and his staff. They're on the payroll as well, until he gets a new job, really. So we'll keep an eye on that. But there is a break clause in place, although it will be the end of next season, by all accounts. In terms of clauses in their contract, they're not singing this on the terraces. 2 release clauses. Mo's got 2 release clauses, according to our favourite German correspondent, Sky Sports' Florian Peltenberg. I haven't said his name for a while. He claims that Hamid Kudus actually has 2 transfer release clauses. One on any club outside of Saudi, and one for a Saudi Pro League clause. And I believe that the Saudi Arabia club, or the SPL clause, is higher than the £85 million set for the European teams. According to Peltenberg, Saudi clubs, as we know, are interested in signing Kudus. There was talk of Al Nazir coming in for an £85 million deal. They'd have some fucking strike force, wouldn't they? Him, Cristiano Ronaldo, and John Duran. But we're led to believe they're loose inquiries at the moment. In terms of Saudi Pro League, we know that Muslim-based players do have a higher ticket item They are they're more endeared over in Saudi Pro League, so there'll be a lot more financial backing for a Muslim-based player, just because that's part of the mantra of the Saudi Pro League to inject sort of interest into football, particularly among the Muslim community. He doesn't mention what the £85 million is. 100, I don't know. 89, 86, I don't know. But it does seem that he has two release clauses. Will they send that on Saturday? Probably not. In terms of another release clause, not for our players, but a player we can really we're interested in bringing in, Liam Delap. Now, I grant it's very speculative, but according to the Daily Mail, it's confirmed that Liam Delap has a £40 million release clause, which is open to any club, if, or more likely when, Ipswich get relegated from the Premier League. There was originally a speculation that the release clause was only to Man City rather, who sold Liam to Ipswich for £20 million last summer, which seems like an absolute bargain now. But the Mail claim is very much a case of an open market for Liam. Apparently, and I say apparently because it is, West Ham are one of 5 Premier League clubs interested in the young striker. And with word that there's a release clause of 40 million, that don't seem too bad. In today's money, when you see some of the crazy prices some strikers are going for a young, is it 21, 22, Liam Delap? He's got 10 years, 15 years, 10, 13 years ahead of him. We know that also the Sullivan sons are very, very big fans of Liam as well. So for me, if I think it's a no-brainer. And I think he could be the perfect foil for the Graham Potter setup formation. You see the impact someone like Fulkrug had, particularly that second half of that Wolves game, knocking on, holding the ball up, strong enough, and clinical enough. If a chance was given, but that's next thing. Sort of the fucking supply. But I think Liam could be the answer. Obviously, there's going to be clubs. I think Chelsea, I think City might even be in for him, interested in him as well. And the likes of Pensuas goes elsewhere, but we are desperately in need of a striker, and I think 40 million sounds an absolute bargain. I really do in today's money. Talking about bargains, all about free transfers. Well, obviously, we know the saga that is Jonathan David. In terms of his free transfer, and now he's discussing with clubs and very much wants to make a decision before the season finishes, so he knows where so he can almost hit the ground running when his contract finishes at Lille. West Ham apparently have received encouragement from Jonathan Davids and his camp. His representatives are said to have been impressed by West Ham's financial offer. He is, according to reports, seriously considering West Ham's proposal. His agents report he gave positive feedback following a meeting they had with Graham Potter, who is believed to have almost blueprinted out David's role. Where he wants to play, his vision for the club, the project. Now, we're led to believe Barcelona reportedly pulled out of the race, and Arsenal are, according to reports, turning their attention to other alternative targets. So there is a slim yet genuine chance of landing the Canadian international striker. There are also sizable offers on the table, allegedly from several Serie A sides and Borussia Dortmund as well. But we're hanging in there. We're hanging in there like the little one that could. We're still on the coach strings, just holding it just a little bit. One slight fly in the ointment is that obviously there's half a dozen sides that are in for David. For Jonathan David, and his representatives are allegedly I'm saying that instead of apparently now, are allegedly watching West Ham's games as well as Borussia Dortmund's and other clubs in for him to evaluate how Jonathan will fit in those clubs' respective systems. So if they have been watching West Ham of late, it would be good, and they would show a lack of supply line to the striker, which could suggest the reason why the other day we didn't play many CDMs, and because to show that actually and it didn't work, but it's slightly off-putting, isn't it? So we'll see. We might see an attacking lineup against Bournemouth. Who knows? And to finish on some lovely news, we like lovely news and lovely news to do with the academy. 2 academy players have signed pro deals this week. Obviously, we know we've got a rich history in terms of bringing in players and getting them signed on long-term deals. Lordy Owusu signed his first pro deal early this week. Actually, they announced it on April Fool's Day, which I thought was the wrong day to do it. He has been a schoolboy since the under-14s, signing a scholarship last summer. And he's had a great year this year already. He's represented England under 17s, I think it was, for the first time. Started in all but one of the under 18s Premier League Cup games. And has been training with the first team. Originally, actually, he was a number 9. He was a striker, and then became a goalkeeper in his first year. So he's got that sort of ability to play. He's a big lad, actually. For a 17-year-old, he's a big guy. So great to see. And again, another really good academy goalkeeper. We're starting to build a really nice group. 3 or 4 really good guys who could eventually come in and maybe not knock the door for the first team as yet, but definitely that sort of second berth in terms of the reserve team goalkeeper, or not reserve team, the number 2, with Christian Heggie and people like that on the books as well. Also, the gentleman on the right there, Rayan Oyebade, he signed his pro deal today. He's been again with the club since under 14 level. But again, a really tall lad actually. As I said, he made his junior international debut for the England under 15s. He relatively joined the academy a little bit late, same as Lawley, so a little bit later down the process. But he's captained the under 18s on 6 occasions this season, and has helped the side reach their first ever Premier League Cup final, of which we're still waiting to see when the when the date's going to happen, because it should happen this month, I'd imagine. But congratulations to Lorne and Rayan. The next bunch on the conveyor belt, that is the West Ham Academy. And that's it, my friends. Thank you very, very much for your time. As per usual, if you're new and did, give it a like, comment, share. Don't forget to check out newsandmumbrad.com. Plays news, reviews, and opinions. And also don't forget to check out tonight, 9 p.m. Stevie Lomas on the channel. Whitney Pops on the channel, ready to talk all things West Ham, his career at West Ham. Don't forget he was part of a very, very funny group of people, and I've seen Steve talk, and he is fucking hilarious. So, so I'm looking forward to having a chat with him. So you can come on and ask questions, and we sort of create them and go through them. And obviously we do his Miami's 11 as well, and he was at the club, over 200 appearances for the club. Played across probably a couple of different generations. He was part of that sort of. He joined during that sort of Ludo Bish era. Then it went into sort of the Ruddock era, and then it went into the sort of the Joe Cole eras, and then we were relegated, and he was part of that squad initially as well. So really interested to talk to Lomi about all his stories. But anyway, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, come in your bloody irons. Much love, bye bye.